With the stardom, marrying his husband, and having his whole career destroyed by the scandal that surrounded it.
They asked me how old I was, and I thought real quick, so I lied. I said, oh, I'm 15.
I knew I was, at the time, the biggest rock and roll song in the world. It had to stir up something.
Wax. Hold on. It's all about Mike. Cue him.
Bob James has got a wicked tongue, and he's got a wry way of looking at the world. He's been very recently in America, giving an Australian viewpoint on American habits and customs for British viewers.
Everyone has a right to a university degree in America, even if it's in hamburger technology. I love McDonald's hamburger universities. Fancy calling it a university. It's wonderful. If you're going to call it a school, why not call it a university? It's logical. Have you ever noticed how everyone in McDonald's has got a hat with manager written on it? Like everybody? Yeah. Even the guy who's carrying out the garbage? Terrific.
Give me a reset on your audio. You're sending audio. Audio is good, and take it.
Welcome to West 57. I'm Karen Burns. It could be anyone, a prominent member of society, a neighbor, or even a friend. A serial killer blends right in, clever, elusive. Catching them is often a daunting task. Jack the Ripper, the Hillside Strangler, and Ted Bundy are the ones we've heard about. But the FBI estimates that last year alone, 31 serial killers committed 313 murders. Right now in New Bedford, Massachusetts, 9 women are dead and 2 more are missing. New bodies are turning up at the rate of 1 a month. We followed the New Bedford Police Department and the Bristol County DA's office in their relentless, exhausting search for a killer they may never find.
Every time you see a car pulled over on the highway, you know, why is that car there? How many bodies are in the woods? How many more girls missing are there?
In 9 months, 9 bodies have been found along the highways leading out of New Bedford, badly decomposed, unrecognizable. They were victims of a cunning killer, still roaming free.
If I had to design the most typical case of serial killing, we'd have what we have in New Bedford.
Professor James Fox teaches criminal justice at Northeastern University in Boston.
What happens in many cases of serial murder is that the victims are abducted, they're killed in one place, and their bodies are dumped along a roadside or a mountainside, and they may not be found for months or years, if ever. And so just linking up cases becomes almost impossible.
On July 3rd, 1988, the skeletal remains of a female body were found by a passing motorist. 27 days later, another driver found another body, also female. When a third was found by a highway worker, police saw a disturbing link. State Troopers Josie Gonzalez and Marianne Dill were assigned to the case. Josie, are there specific things that you look for when you come to the scene of one of these crimes?
Well, basically, you look for any, what we call trace evidence of something that may have been left behind by an individual who would do something like this. We'll be talking about a cigarette pack, an article of clothing, piece of jewelry, footprints.
There's a potential anything could be valuable, so what we do with anything and everything is tag.
Trooper Ken Martin analyzes all physical evidence.
We're going to actually get down on our hands and knees and pick up bones. We also recover insects from the body and also from the surroundings, too.
What are the insects doing?
The insects, mostly the flies, the eggs of the flies, the maggots, those can be sent to a forensic entomologist and actually give you a better time frame of death than can be established by the medical examiner or whatever.
Basically all of them, except for one, had no clothing on. no clothing found in the area. They were found right off the highways in particular positions that would lead you to believe that they could have been sexually assaulted there. And the manner of death on the ones that, at least that we've identified, is also pretty much the same.
Bristol County District Attorney Ron Pina. How important is detail in this investigation?
Key to the whole thing. The fine points, the fine detail, the facts that how the bodies were found, the locations, what was under the bodies, how long was the body there. It's a very long, drawn-out, detailed process. People don't understand that. They really think that you have a theory, you go out and you arrest somebody. You can't. You've got to nitpick the whole way.
And if you lose a piece?
You lose the case, and the person goes free.
When police found a fourth victim tossed into a creek off the highway, their search escalated. Specialists from the state, the FBI, an entomologist, and a pathologist were brought in. As they worked, the victim count increased.
We have the identity of the sixth victim. Her name, by the way, is Deborah L. McConnell.
After months of methodical work, investigators began to place names to brutalized bodies. The body of Deborah McConnell was found by a search dog. No one had bothered to report her missing. Rochelle Clifford's remains were found by hunters. She was identified on her 30th birthday. A total of 5 victims were identified in December. Nancy Paiva was one of them. Her sister is Judy DeSantos.
Remember that day?
Oh, yeah. I remember that day. I don't think I'll ever forget that day. How do you go and tell someone that someone they loved is gone? Nobody actually has the right words to tell the family. And in a lot of cases, each time they would see us coming back, they would expect it. And then all of a sudden that one day, they just look at us and they probably could tell by Josie and my behavior that we were there because their person was identified.
Since Easter, 3 more bodies have been found and 3 more families informed. Each time, investigators must delve into the lives of the victims, looking for patterns. All 9 women were between 25 and 36. Some were friends. Some drank at the same bars. All frequented areas of New Bedford known for drugs and prostitution. Some came from other lives and better days.
I'd like to know a little about Nancy. Can you tell me a little about what kind of person she was?
To me, my sister was a loving, caring human being. She had a college education. She got a degree in medical assisting. And that's what's so hard to understand. I know addictions occur at any income level. It doesn't matter, but it's a hard thing to understand.
Did she get desperate for drugs?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Did she do anything for them?
I think so. I think so. If her body needed that drug, to me, she would have done anything to obtain it. I don't know what she did to obtain it, but I have good imagination that, I can...
Prostitutes are preyed upon by serial killers for a number of reasons. Most importantly, they are the easiest targets. A prostitute will willingly, voluntarily get into the car of a would-be attacker, and once in that car, she is under his control. And what prostitutes present them with is the opportunity to drive down a strip where prostitutes hang out and window shop.
This is the strip where they were.
They call it the strip.
This is known as Wells Square.
The killer has woven his way through these neighborhoods, haunting areas where prostitutes and drug dealers ply their trade. Richie Ferrara is one of 4 New Bedford detectives assigned to prowl these streets night and day. But because most activity here is illegal, witnesses are wary, unreliable, or elusive. In his search for this killer, Ferrara is forced to rely on instinct.
Do you think this killer knows his victims?
If he doesn't know them personally, it's my opinion that he'll at least knows their habit. He knows how easy it is to get to them to come into a vehicle.
Do you think Nancy would have gotten into a car or gone with somebody
that she didn't know? She was a hitchhiker. But if the report is correct on the where she was walking, then no, she wasn't hitchhiking home.
What does that make you think about who was in the car?
that it was someone she knew.
There is no evidence of struggle. No one who's come forward and said, we saw so-and-so on this area and some man came and grabbed her and threw her in a car. None of that in any situation that we've, even for the missing people. So it almost appears that whomever it is that's involved in this, they initially feel very comfortable with that person.
A serial killer combines two elements. A sexual sadist, someone who enjoys sex with pain, and a sociopath, someone who feels no remorse, no guilt, who doesn't feel normal feelings of love and warmth towards others, who sees others as instruments for his own pleasures. He's manipulative, he's exploitive, and he's often very charming.
This is Grant Harrison.
This is a calculating killer who has successfully confused investigators. Police found Nancy Piva's body here, but her clothing had been placed near the body of a different victim.
Someone went out of their way to make sure that in a time period, whether it was within a month or so, they moved the clothing. That's not accidental. That's someone playing games.
Do you have the sense that this person, whoever it is playing mind games with you?
Yeah, I think so. I really do. If they know they're playing mind games.
The typical serial killer is a white male in his 30s who looks very ordinary. The typical serial killer has a job, he has a family, he has other things that he does in his life, and he just kills part-time.
When you drive through these areas, what are you looking for? What are you doing?
So I'm either looking for a girl who works on the streets that might have some information for us, or I'm looking for particular vehicles that have been described to us as having occupants who have assaulted, raped, or even robbed the girls.
So you're really looking at anybody who could be abusive or have some kind of criminal past. You've got to weed through all of that.
Yeah, basically it's like looking for a needle in a haystack. It's an old cliche, but that's the way it is.
After all of these months, investigators have made no arrests and have no clear suspect. And because New Bedford is a fishing town with seasonal workers, investigators don't really know whether the killer they seek has slipped away, leaving a trail of bodies in his wake, or is still stalking the streets.
But he could be a 2 or 3 hour interview. He could be...
15 troopers and detectives have spent hundreds of hours searching through police reports, descriptions of cars, and people. The district attorney's office has accumulated 6,900 hours of overtime, wiping out their annual budget in just 3 months. All this in a search for a killer they fear they might never find. It is an investigation that has become an obsession.
Last night we ended up interviewing somebody for a couple of hours, and by the time we left here it was 11:30. So last night when I got home at 12, that was actually early. Under normal circumstances, if it's one victim, maybe for the first week, week and a half, you'll be putting these hours in. But we've just been going and going and going.
Do you think about this? Does this haunt you all the time?
No, definitely. Definitely. The time that you have off, for example, on Sundays we try to have Sundays off. Even that, a lot of times I'll have personal things that I have to do. Say, you run to the store, so I'll find myself going down the highway. Yeah, look down the side of the road to see if there's another victim. Talking to these girls, maybe they mention a truck or vehicle, and all of a sudden a truck or vehicle comes past you, or you find yourself writing down the plate. You just wonder, it just constantly is going through your mind all the time, even though you try to enjoy the day off.
They're people. I don't think anybody deserves to die, especially in the manner that these girls died. They're human beings. Someone out there killed them, and he or she or they should be caught.
As long as you can keep some pressure on, as long as you keep the case fresh, information keeps flowing. And if it goes stale, it's the worst thing that can happen. It's not like wine. It doesn't get better with age. It really gets very bad.
Most cases of serial murder are eventually solved, fortunately. But there's some very well-known cases where arrests have never been made. The Zodiac killings in California in the 70s, the Green River killings in the 80s and around Seattle, the Birmingham, Michigan child murders, even Jack the Ripper 100 years ago. As the months go on, the trail is getting colder and colder. It may be that we'll never have an arrest in the case of New Bedford.
Coming up next on West 57, Jerry Lee Lewis, Great Balls of Fire.